Hi guys, my goodness, Richard Tice's lift doesn't go to the top floor. So he was on LBC where he discussed two topics: how the world would be a safer place with Donald Trump in charge, and second, why his boss Nigel Farage has abandoned the idea of running for a seat in the general election. Tice claimed in this interview that Putin is afraid of Trump, and if the latter had been president in 2022, Russia would not have invaded Ukraine. He also seems to believe that Nigel's campaigning for Trump is more important than the UK general election. Have a listen.
From a global safety point of view, the world was a safer place. Whatever people might think of Donald Trump's personality, the world was a safer place under President Trump than under President Biden. Putin wouldn't have gone into Ukraine had President Trump. That's my judgment. Also,
isn't that saying that the world was a safer place under Herbert Hoover than FDR? Just because the war happened to start under FDR doesn't mean that it was safer under Herbert Hoover.
It's about respect and fear, and Putin feared Donald Trump.
No, he didn't. In what way did he fear Donald Trump? Just think about it from a hypothetical point of view. Imagine 2022, Donald Trump is president of the US. In what way would Trump stop Putin from invading Ukraine? In what way? Because Trump had taken, and still takes, an isolationist approach to foreign policy. We don't want to get involved. So what would that say? What sort of message would that send to Putin? Well, Putin, I believe, believed that the West would not get involved in Ukraine because he didn't really get involved in 2014 when he annexed Crimea. So he was hoping that the same thing would happen again. He believed the same thing would happen again. He could roll into Ukraine and the West would complain and do nothing about it. Now, if Donald Trump had been in charge, what would he have done? He would have sat back and allowed it to happen. He would have said, it's nothing to do with us. I'm an isolationist. We're not getting involved. That's what Trump would have done. How would that instill fear in Putin?
He didn't fear Joe Biden.
He went
Iran feared Donald Trump.
Richard.
He didn't fear Joe Biden.
Trump went to Helsinki, right? And he stood next to Vladimir Putin. And he actually said that he was more inclined to believe Vladimir Putin than he was his own security services. That guy did not fear Trump. Come on, we both know that.
Absolute nonsense.
He did say that.
The fact is evident.
So you would vote for Trump?
Look, I don't have a vote. That's irrelevant. The real point is, the reason that Nigel will campaign, I suspect, later in the year in America is because America is a very important ally for the United Kingdom, and they're our biggest singles trading partner, our biggest, most important security and defence partner. It's very important that we have a very strong relationship with the next president of the United States, and that's a more than 50% chance of being Donald Trump.
But you would prefer it to be Trump?
Than Joe Biden. I mean, I think the evidence is clear. Frankly, America was in a better place, and I think our relationship with America was in a better place.
But this makes no sense. Your friend, your boss, Nigel Farage, is going to the US to campaign for one side, and there's a risk that that side doesn't win the election. Now, he's saying, well, according to the polls, it's over 50%. Well, the poll that's important, that matters, is the one on the election day. But you're picking a side that could lose, and you're saying, well, the reason we need to back Donald Trump is because, well, America is an important trading partner, and we need to rebuild our relationship or build a relationship with the US. But you're talking about something that you could do under a Biden administration. But you're automatically trying to stop that from happening by sending Nigel Farage to campaign for Donald Trump. Let's say Donald Trump loses. He doesn't win the election. What was the point of campaigning for one side then? How are you going to say, well, we want to have a good relationship with the US when your ambassador, quote unquote, went there to try and stop Joe Biden from winning? What sort of message do you think that sends to the Biden administration if it's a Biden administration after the election in November? This is nonsensical. Instead, it would make more sense to say, look, we're going to step back. We're not going to campaign for Trump. What we're going to do is going to wait until the election is over, and then we're going to send Nigel over to try and build some sort of bridges or something. It would be a terrible idea because of his past, but you could try and sell it that way. It still wouldn't work, but it would make more sense than picking a side, campaigning, and then losing. Once again, it's not a guarantee that Biden will hold on, but picking a side at this stage makes no sense whatsoever. Now, why is Nigel Farage doing this? This is nothing to do with global politics or trade or anything like that. This is about Nigel Farage grabbing attention for himself and making a few quid out of it as well. It's always been that. It's always about Nigel Farage. When Nigel Farage uses UKIP, the Brexit Party, and now Reform UK as a platform for himself. And I think some people within Reform UK are pretty upset that he's not running as an MP. Now, I've said before, there's no point him running as an MP because he'd likely lose. His excuse now is, well, there isn't enough time to campaign. But he seems to have enough time to go to the US, it seems, to campaign for Donald Trump. And he has been campaigning for Donald Trump already. But for a constituency where he could represent people who would actually vote for him, nah, to hell with that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.